Because that is.
And we welcome you into another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. Another beautiful autumnal. How's that? Autumnal Thursday afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Starting strong, baby. It's going to go downhill from here.
You two librarians want to fist pound together?
It is.
We could just pause this day and have it for Saturday.
We'll just put the Dewey Decimal Point right here and leave.
There you go. I'm in.
It is
an awesomely beautiful day.
Homecoming weekend for Penn State. It really is just absolutely gorgeous outside. And homecoming weekend for Penn State. The Nittany Lions and Illini again, a noon kickoff on Saturday. And who will be quarterback, Goon? An anxious world awaits to find out.
48 hours ago, we were talking about it not being him, and now it's we're watching videos of him throwing the ball around, and he looks pretty good, shifting. Oh, not the injury, though.
And here's and that's just it. I mean, to me, it looked like ribs, right? I mean, I think that's what most people are kind of presuming. And if that's the case, and that's a huge if, because, again, I don't know. But if that's the case, you would think, generally speaking, because I've had some people say, well, just rest him another week. And my answer to that is it depends. I mean, if he's 100, there's a reason he's the starting quarterback. And if he's 100% and has a couple of days of practice under his belt, then no, you don't sit him just to sit him. Now, if it is the ribs, even if they are feeling better or even feeling good, my thinking would be, listen, if we find ourselves in more of a fight than we're expecting against Illinois and we need his services, I mean, have him suit up and ready to go. But your preference, right, would be to rest those ribs so that he is 100% or as close to it as you can get against Ohio State. And the ribs are, that's something where, if it's bruised or whatever, re-aggravating it. Yeah, and re-aggravating it either way is a possibility here against Illinois. And you don't, again, if you can help it. Now, again, if he's available, you suit him up and you have him ready to go. And if you're down 14-0, you start thinking real hard about, hey, we got to save the season now. And so I think, but again, if he's, if it's something else and, let's just say concussion, I mean, I don't think that's what it was, but any past concussion protocol, then again, you don't sit him just to sit him because it's Illinois and you have Ohio State coming up. If he's 100% or close to it, again, I don't know how many players are truly 100%. Everything's just feeling hunky-dory at this stage of the season. But, if there's no compelling reason for him not to play, then you play him. I mean, you don't, again, just sit him because, let's give him a rest and get ready for Ohio State. No, you want him, if you can, you want him out there and continuing to run the offense and get more comfortable each week. But again, not knowing the situation, I can't sit here and say with any kind of definitiveness that, yes, he should or no, he shouldn't play, but it sure sounds like they are at least going to have him as an option on Saturday, again, if need be. And again, if it is something that could be re-aggravated easily, then I think, your strong preference obviously would be to go ahead and rest him this week and get him as ready to go and as healthy as can be.
I agree.
For the Ohio State game. And listen, that Ohio State game, and it seems like we've said this many times over the relatively brief tenure here of James Franklin. But I mean, this season really does come down, presuming Penn State takes care of business on Saturday, which I'm going to go ahead and presume that they do. I mean, it does. It comes down to that game. And that's not to say that's the end-all, be-all. Obviously, you win that game and turn around and lose to Michigan and Michigan State. That win over Ohio State looks a lot less important. But Ohio State is rightfully the measuring stick program in the conference. And really, there's only been one program on the heels of Ohio State over the last 5 years, and that is Penn State. I mean, Penn State's the only program, that has been right there consistently, although, outside of 2016, unable to get over the hump here.
That's when we win the Big Ten titles. You got to beat them. I mean, that's the final step that I think that James has before you start considering yourself a playoff caliber team. You have to dominate your conference and first of all, you got to dominate your division of your conference, and that starts with Ohio State. I mean, that's his big bugaboo. It has been his big. It's been everybody's bugaboo. Yeah, not just James Franklin's. Jimmy Harbaugh's too. At least Franklin has a win over Ohio State. So, it does go. It comes down to Ohio State every year. It seems to be like that, but they are the measuring stick. They are the top of of the barrel. Now we want to be top dog. You got to beat the top dog. I mean, not to go Ric Flair on you, but it's the truth.
Yeah, and listen, winning out there at night is very difficult, right? I mean, there's a reason that not only Penn State, but nobody else does that, and very few win, period, in Columbus. But it is obviously a very good team and a very tough environment, and the night game adds a component to it. I will say, I think Penn State is as prepared as any program could be to go into that game, again, because of everything we've talked about previously, having a couple of night games already under their belt, having the games at Wisconsin and Iowa, so that, I don't think being in prime time is going to rattle them, and I don't think, a noisy road crowd hopefully is going to rattle them, certainly the way it did unquestionably at Iowa. Hopefully some lessons learned from that experience that will be
we talked about
adequately applied in Columbus.
I don't know if we have talked about it in the past, but why does a team like Oregon come in here for the first time ever playing at Ohio State win that game? Oklahoma with Baker Mayfield 5-6 years ago comes in and does the same thing, but nobody in the Big Ten can crack that nut.
There's a few things though that I do think go into it, and we've talked about this I think before. I know I've talked about it many times.
It's just weird.
But one of the things is that, again, your well-coached teams do what? Get much better as the season goes along, right? So that all of the non-conference games are happening in September, and I'm not telling you that Ohio State's not ready to go and not prepared or anything like that, but I'm telling you that the Ohio State that the Penn State team is facing later in the season is always better. Now, presumably, Penn State is better later in the season as well, and I don't I don't argue that point, but there is something to the confidence that Ohio State has also in the horseshoe, and believing that, listen, this is just this is what we do is we go out and win these games, and truthfully they have that mentality no matter where they're playing. And again, it's one thing to think you can win, it's another to know, and Ohio State knows. I mean, it has won in all of these venues, and obviously has been extremely difficult to beat in Columbus. That being said, as far as Penn State, Goon, you're coming off of the bye week. Questions surrounding the quarterback and replacing P.J. Mustipher and trying to figure out that rotation now.
And all the whole Clifford thing has been Mustipher's injury.
Yeah, with the defensive line. And I think what's going to be this feels like a game where Penn State has a chance to figure some things out here ahead of the Ohio State game. And I am curious to see what the approach is offensively, not to say that what you see against Illinois is exactly what you're going to see against Ohio State, but I am curious to see, can this offensive line, establish the line of scrimmage, and can the backs get some significant yardage, chunk yardage, as they call it, with the run game, at least against Illinois? Get a little confidence, get a little continuity going in that element of the game. And regardless of who's at quarterback, I think that's obviously something that you want to accomplish in this game on Saturday. And I'm curious to just kind of see what the rotation is defensively and with the receivers, and kind of what they do here at running back in particular, because I do think one of the things that they likely concentrated on in the bye week is, all right, let's reassess and figure out, for this stretch run, as significant a stretch run as we've had since James Franklin's taken over, certainly since 2016, we got to make sure we're putting our absolute best foot forward and figure out what that is, exactly what that entails, and who all is involved in that and to what degree. And again, I don't necessarily think that you're going to completely tip your hand here in the Illinois game, but you got to get this stuff. I think largely what you see against Illinois is what you're going to see moving forward. And again, I'm not expecting any drastic changes here. It's been working, what Penn State has been doing. So I'm not, we're not going to go out and watch the wishbone get implemented here during the bye week. But I am just curious to see some of the little subtle things in terms of playing time, how they handle that defensive line, and whether or not they can, again, really, against Illinois at least, establish the line of scrimmage and, again, try to get that confidence and a little good feeling about yourself with that running game going into that all-important stretch run right now.
You got to be able to run the ball, and you can't run the ball. If you're not going to run the ball against Illinois, then you're going to run into nothing but problems the last 5 games of the season. There's no doubt about it. Why not go out and really, 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 Clifford plays or not, really go stress the run. Let's dominate this game with our run game. Again, just for the confidence going into Ohio State, because if we go and try and we dabble around with this and that on Saturday afternoon against Illinois, I mean, you're not going to give anybody kind of confidence going into Ohio State if you're not. I mean, they should have confidence right now to be able to run the ball. And then you can watch the last 5 years why we've lost to Ohio State, and we've lost that to Ohio State up front every time. Yeah. We need to change that, and that we need to beat Ohio State. That's the first thing that needs to change, and we need to win up front.
Yeah. I did think it was interesting that Jaquan Brisker was named, for whatever it's worth, the halfway All-American team. And I think he's certainly deserving. I will say, I think Jahan Dotson, and I haven't sat down and watched all the wide receivers in the country. I'm just telling you, I don't think there could be one that's playing better. There might be others that are playing as well. And again, there might be others that have some more imposing physical attributes than Dotson. But man, that dude he consistently makes every catch difficult, easy, and his body control, and we've seen some great ones here over the years at Penn State. I would put his body control right there with the best of the best that we've seen, at least here at Penn State over the years. With the Bobby Engrams and the Allen Robinsons.
But he reminds me of Bobby because Bobby was an undersized guy.
Yeah.
But you know who he also reminds me of? It's not a Penn State guy, and it's not to anger you, Ironhead.
Yeah.
But Antonio Brown is a very, very, very small receiver.
He is.
And
I think that's not – when he was –
he's not a big guy to do what he does and be a dominant receiver like he is, but that's what he has. He has body control like a mofo, and he just makes things happen.
Yeah, and the body control is just such an interesting thing because you can be blazing fast, right? And we've seen plenty of guys who were really fast, and you go back. I mean, Michael Timpson was a decent receiver here, but his speed was unreal, right? I mean, but his hands and his body control weren't the elite. And again, I'm not knocking Michael Timpson here, but it is a very unique skill to be able to control your body while running at full speed or while adjusting sometimes midair. It is, and I'm sure there are things that you can work on and ways that you can improve that, but I feel like that's one that's to a large degree you either have it or you don't, right? Like you're either fast. A big guy or you're not. Yep. You're either blazing fast or you're not. Again, you can get a little faster, you can get a little bigger through work, and that body control to me is right there with those physical attributes. again, there are some things you can do, obviously, to work on it and improve, but to have it to the degree that those elite ones do, that's there's some God-given innate ability there.
He doesn't lack in the speed. Bobby's big thing was he was not a speedster. He was a 4.5 guy, which isn't blazing speed for a wide receiver, especially a smaller wide receiver.
Yeah.
But he had football speed out the wazoo. There's a big difference in football speed and then in track speed.
Well, and that's another,
Bobby, the closest comparison I had to him, it would be Hines Ward.
Yeah.
I mean, he just did everything right. He had hands. He didn't drop passes. He blocked. He did everything. He just made things happen. And he was not what you would consider an NFL wide receiver.
Yeah, Kenny Jackson was like that. Kenny, when I mean, in pads, I swear that guy was faster. I mean, not really, I get it, but I swear he was faster in pads than he was out of them. And I'm not saying he was slow outside of the pads, but my God, man, you put him on the field with everybody else in pads, and he did not seem to miss a beat while everybody else looked like, yeah, okay, well, we got this equipment on. Obviously, we're a little bit slower.
Funny how that is a football player. That's a true football player. They don't have to. You obviously have your stars who have everything. There are 5 tool guys, but you have other guys who just make the game look easy because they know it and they're smart about it. And Bobby was definitely one of them, but I think Dotson's much faster than Bobby. Much faster.
Well, yeah, and I also think he's quicker.
I think Johan's the best I've seen here.
I'd be hard-pressed to disagree with you.
I really do.
I mean, and I think to a large degree, people rightfully accuse those in the media and fans of getting caught up in the moment. And I always worried about that with Saquon Barkley. I'm like, I realized, it's in the moment. And, I always thought Kurt Warner was just the best all-around back that I had seen until Saquon. And that's very debatable. And listen, part of it, I don't remember seeing the Lenny Moores or the Francos or anybody. Basically my real memory of. I mean, I watched Penn State when I was a toddler, but like 77, 78 is when that's in my wheelhouse. From then on, I feel like I can at least adequately recall what I've seen. So. In fairness, the Lenny Moores and the Lydell Mitchells and those guys, Capoletti, I mean, I didn't see those guys. And so, and it's different when you're watching stuff on, film from years ago. It's just a different perspective. So, but I don't disagree with you. And I mean, Dotson, I put it this way. I don't think there's been anybody better at Penn State than what Dotson certainly than what Dotson is doing this year and really last year.
I got one better for you, Ironhead.
Yeah.
Before Saquon is, I will say, the best all-around running back in Penn State history. I can easily say that. Who would you think in your wheelhouse? You said Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
I have an odd one. I always said Tony Hunt was the best all-around.
Yeah.
Who could run, block, catch. He didn't have that breakaway speed and this and that. That's the only thing he was missing. But my God, did he get those tough yards for you?
No doubt.
And when it was his turn to block, he would lay some wood on some people, and he had great hands. I always tell Kijana that. I tell him that all the time. That that Tony was the best I had seen here until Saquon, and I think that Kijana would take his hat off and say he's easily Saquon is number one, because I know that O.J. McDuffie has also said that Jahan Dotson is the best receiver he's seen at Penn State.
Is that right?
And you're taking, Norwood, Butler, Derek Williams, Godwin, Allen Robinson. The list is pretty damn long since OJ. And even Kenny Jackson. I mean, we went decades without many wide receivers. We really did, and now we have a nice little farm system going here. But I just. One of those little things, some people say Chuck Fusina was but I don't remember Chuck Fusina. So I don't remember Black.
Yeah, Fusina is kind of the first Fusina would be the first that I really remember, and can vividly
You know what I remember
remember
Chuck
watching.
Fishina from? The Philadelphia Stars starting
Oh, yeah.
quarterback.
Yep.
USFL, baby.
Yeah.
He was great.
Yeah.
I remember meeting him one time at a restaurant. And I said, "Hey, Philadelphia Stars." He goes, "It's been a long time since somebody called me one of those." I was like, "There you go." Loved it.
As far as the Big Ten overall is concerned, again, Goon, I do think this is going to be a whole lot of fun watching how this thing plays out now, the remainder of the season. And
a lot to happen, man.
yeah, I really think it's cliche that, anything can happen. But I mean, as we sit here today, I'm still very bullish on Penn State, and I still think Penn State ends up winning this thing. Is my crazy prediction as we sit here now. But I will tell you that if at the end of the season Michigan is the Big Ten champion, will not be surprised. Ohio State is the Big Ten champion, will not be surprised. Michigan State is the Big Ten champion. I will not be.
Really?
Yeah, I really will not. Michigan State, I think, is extremely well coached, and I think is just under the radar enough, even now, that these guys can legitimately use that chip on the shoulder mentality. Now, I think that only goes so far. And when I say surprised, I mean, I would be mildly surprised. I mean, I'm not expecting Michigan State to win the Big Ten title, but none of those four teams, I don't think it would be much of a stretch for any of those four to end up being the Big Ten champion this season. And it wouldn't, it wouldn't be very surprising.
Getting me because they're doing it offensively, not their MO historically has been defense,
correct,
defense, but they're doing it offensively this year.
Yeah, and listen, and I think that they know what they are, right? And that's part of it is because how many years have we said Michigan State? Nobody knows what they are. I think they know what they are this year, and I think they are built around their strengths, right? And trying to minimize the weaknesses, at least in terms of how they show up. And I just think, again, I think that's an extremely well-coached team. I think Michigan is a talented team. Ohio State is Ohio State. And I do think Penn State is primed to be right there in the mix. As we sit here today, I still think Penn State is going to win it. I think if Penn State doesn't, my next expectation would be Ohio State, not shocking. And then I don't know, between Michigan and Michigan State right now, I'm not sure which way I would lean. If you said, listen, it's definitively going to be one of those two teams. Penn State and Ohio State are going to stumble down the stretch, and one of those two is not. I'd be very hard-pressed right now to pick between the two in terms of who I think will ultimately prevail. Oh no, who I want if between those two is hands down Michigan State. Not even close.
It's like you always want to root for your conference and this and that, but it doesn't matter who's playing Michigan. You always root against Michigan. That's how I feel. That's just my personal opinion.
I don't necessarily disagree.
I can see myself rooting for Sparty and Ohio State when they're playing big out of conference games. I mean, all of us can. I just don't like rooting for Michigan. I really don't. And I thought your boy had them last week out in Nebraska. I really did, man.
Yeah.
That was. They had him, and the late fumble cost them bad. So, but yeah,
which has been. I mean, it's been mistakes mistakes in crunch time. And it's different mistakes at different and I think that's we actually have relatives that are Nebraska fans that were in visiting earlier this week, and they said it's frustrating because they like Scott Frost, they believe he's a good coach, and they like the overall direction that they're seeing and the talent that's there, but it's unbelievable how consistently they cannot get it done. And again, it's different reasons that, it's like here it's been, I mean, the bugaboo has been the offensive line pretty consistently in terms of, okay, why can't Penn State get over the hump? At Nebraska, it's like, well, it's drop balls this week, it's fumbles this week, it's defense giving up big plays that week. I mean, it's not a consistent thing. It's always something, but it's not.
I got one for
not
you.
often the same thing that's beating them.
Remember about 10, 15 years ago, I remember always saying it when we were playing and even afterwards. And it was Sparty would always find a Sparty way to lose a game.
Yeah.
It's almost like that is going on in Nebraska on Scott Frost.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to think about because of the history they have but how they're losing games, late fumble, stupid fumble, bad interception, missed tackles, dumb penalties. It's got to be the most frustrating thing in the world for Scott Frost because you want the guy to succeed.
Yeah.
And people always ask me, why do I not hate Nebraska? I'm like, I can't hate Nebraska. They did what they had to do in '94. I mean,
yeah.
I hate the people who voted for Nebraska. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel. I've always respected Nebraska. I've always liked them. I've ever met from there. I've actually found to be very cool.
Yeah.
But I don't hold anything over Nebraska because of what happened in '94. But I mean, would like to see them compete more out in the West and become more of a dominant to make the Big Ten Conference.
I really thought that they would be
too.
I mean, I thought that was the absolute right hire, and I thought by now that Nebraska would be. I really did. I thought Nebraska would be dominating the West, similar to the way Ohio State is dominating the East, and that maybe a Wisconsin or Iowa would be. To Nebraska, what Penn State is to Ohio State, but that there would be that separation.
Weird as it sounds, Ironhead. I got Minnesota coming out of the West, even with Iowa there.
I'm telling you right now,
Iowa.
I'm with you, and it's honestly the four teams that I mentioned in the East. Again, it wouldn't shock me. I guess I should say it would mildly surprise me if Michigan State was the team, but. I will say that the West, I think there's at least 4 and maybe 5 there that it would not shock me if at the end of the year they end up winning it too. That now for different reasons. Again, I think those 4 in the Big Ten East are I think all legitimate powers. I just don't think there is. I'm not sure that there's a true top 20 team, and in my mind, a team that at the end of the year you're going to look at and say, "Oh yeah, well that's definitely a top 20 team in the Big Ten West." And it's just, and I don't know. I know there's been some discussion, and should the conference look at realigning and trying to balance the league out a little bit, and I'm just not. I'm not a fan of that. This stuff, I don't know if it's necessarily cyclical. It may be. We'll see over the next couple of decades. But I just think that's, it is the nature of sports, right? Like there are times where, for whatever reason, you end up getting a concentration of talent in one division. And I just think that's, again, it's unfortunate if you're Penn State or Michigan right now, right, that you're in this division at a time when it's loaded. When, again, if you put either of those teams in the ACC, I think they'd at least be challenging Clemson over the years. Pac-12, I think they'd be in more often than not. I mean, the whole bit. But again, it's just part of that's just part of sports. And I don't like the idea of, well, we don't like the way this is going at the moment, so let's engineer it and do it a different way. Because, again, what happens in Nebraska then, you switch and put Nebraska over there, Nebraska catches fire, and now it's Nebraska, Ohio State, and Michigan. And then in the West, it's too hard to predict what's going to happen year to year, let alone over a 5 or 10 year period.
Completely agree.
So
I hope they wouldn't do that. I mean, I like the way the Big Ten schedules their conference. I really do. I mean,
I do too.
I told someone the other day, I said that a player plays in a 4-year cycle. You will play every Big Ten team home and away. That's no other conference can do that.
Yeah,
because the SEC doesn't. They don't play all the teams on the other side every couple of years. I mean, we've talked about that endlessly of how they just pass around all their bottom feeders to their top feeders and keep their guys high as they can. And in the rankings. And, is it the right thing to do? Yeah. I mean, in the long run, yeah, because that gets you national titles. But I just hate the fact that we have 4 teams in one division of the Big Ten in the top 10 right now. Top 9 are from one division, and they're all going to play each other. And Iowa does not have to play any of them other than us. And
it is remarkable.
Yes. So I'm interested to see how Iowa does after last week. I mean, last week, you could say that the big hangover from the Penn State win was there, but Purdue is not that bad, and it was Iowa just beat up and tired from the week before. I'm interested to see how they do, how they bounce back from this. I mean, knowing Ferencz, he's going to have them going, but I thought they would have done a better job last week, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because once you're right. It's going to be interesting to see, because I'm not sure. Once that bubble pops, sometimes it's really difficult to get it reinflated.
Yeah. I'm worried about. Are you worried about that with us?
Not as much, for a couple of reasons. One is, I do think this team, and you can say, excuses, whatever, but I mean, they know darn well they were on the field. They know they were on their way to a big victory if Clifford doesn't go down.
As our guys realize that.
Yeah, and I do think, and the other part of it is, I think they very much know and understand all of the objectives that they had at the start of the season are very much in front of them. And listen, the other part of it is, right, the old cliche about, Joe Batura, this is why you come to Penn State, to play Michigan State in the top 10, Michigan in the top 10, Ohio State in the top 10. If you're Iowa, and yes, to a certain extent, you're playing college football, you only have so many opportunities, by God, go out and take advantage of it. But it just is more difficult. Like, it's going to be harder for Penn State. I'm not saying they're not going to be up and taking it seriously here Saturday, but this team, the adrenaline's not going to be pumping when they walk out that tunnel or run out of the tunnel Saturday morning to take on Illinois. That is not the same adrenaline that's going to be coursing through the system when they take the field at the Horseshoe or when they're back here at Beaver Stadium against Michigan. It's just a different. And again, I'm not saying these guys can't get up, but it's just different. And Penn State knows it has these huge opportunities, games where everybody's going to be watching, and Iowa knows again that nobody really cares about these outside of the Iowa fans and program. But I mean, there's not national attention, especially after Iowa's lost to Purdue. People will be checking out. Did Iowa win? Yeah, I guess they're still kind of in it. I mean, they're going to be checking it like that, but they're not. I mean, if you're a college football fan, you are watching Penn State at Ohio State.
Absolutely,
right?
Man.
I mean, you are watching it if you have any opportunity to do so. There's not a game on Iowa's schedule that college football fans are circling and saying, I got to see how they handle that game. And so, again, I think it's just a little different in terms of trying to get yourself up and ready.
They're going to kill them. They're going to be so mad at themselves over that last week's loss if they go and run the table. But if they run the table, they're in the same predicament we were. I guess that Purdue was in the Western Conference, though. So,
I just don't know.
Who has to play still. I mean,
yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure this ends all that well for Iowa this season. I have a feeling. For one thing, I think both Penn State and Purdue have kind of now given the other schools, this is the blueprint on how you like. I don't think Iowa. I mean, outside of Clifford being knocked out of the game, I don't think Ohio State's not looking at that Iowa game and saying, "Oh, now we know how to beat Penn State," right? I mean, other than Clifford being out of the game,
fake injuries on defense.
There you go.
Knock your 2 best players of your team out of the game. Get booed. Piss the defensive coaches off. That's how they do it. I mean, it'll be an interesting. I mean, this is why we play the games, right?
Yeah,
Ironhead, as you just said about the old man. I mean, this is why you come to Penn State, but we still have 3 of those games left. And
3
Iowa has
huge
none.
games. And listen, the other, 2 of the other ones, again, are outside of Illinois.
Yeah.
The Rutgers and the Maryland games are both games where those teams have Penn State circled, and Penn State, I think, does understand it, but it better understand it because,
or they will be Iowa versus Purdue.
Because again, Maryland and Rutgers are looking at that Penn State game as the opportunity to get the signature win, and by far, it would be the game that they would most want to win on their schedule. So. Again, really all 5 of these remaining games are significant for one team or the other for Penn State after Saturday's homecoming matchup with Illinois. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll talk a little NFL action, and we'll continue with the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show from Quaker Steak and Lube after this.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube, but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
Hi, Johnny Broom here. If you're in the market for a new Hyundai or a pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, nobody beats a Blaze Alexander deal. But don't take my word for it.
Hey, Goon says tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, tell him Johnny sent ya.
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Wait, tell him Juan or tell him Johnny sent you?
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Here at Bill Pickles Tap Room, we say,
tell him Johnny sent you.
And remember,
tell him Johnny sent you.
We welcome you back into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show as we get ready for homecoming weekend. Always a fun weekend, Goon, right? Like this is, you try to schedule the W. Hopefully that's what Penn State has done here against Illinois. But, we'll be taking 6-year-old Reggie, the Mad Turtle himself, up to the homecoming parade on Friday night. And we're excited about that. It's been obviously a couple of years since we had that opportunity, and it's just fun for the kids, and I think students get into it, and obviously the alumni that are able to come back and enjoy the weekend. It's a big deal.
I got an unbelievably funny story. Booch, you'll like to hear this story. So yesterday, my wife works at the Alumni Center, the Hints Alumni Association Center, so I go, and I had to pick her up yesterday in the afternoon, so I go and I park out front and this and that. And at the same time, the Lion Ambassador girls are all putting their floats together ready, and I have my dogs in the car. The girls all see the dogs. They come walking over to the car, and I was like, I look like the biggest freaking pervert on campus right now. I mean, that's what I felt like. I was just like sitting there in the driving wheel. I was like, and these girls like, oh my God, it's so cute, it's so cute, it's so cute. I'm like, eyes forward. I was just like, I called Carrie. I said, you need to get down here now before I get arrested for being a pervert. I was just standing there, and these girls are like painting their signs and making their floats, and I'm just like sitting there like, oh boy, this is look. I look really creepy right now. So that's my story for you, Ironhead.
That's her story, and you're sticking to it. I like it. Yeah, you just looked like a pervert. We got it.
Pulled up a couple French bulldogs. Hey ladies, I bought some dogs here for you. You know what I mean?
Anybody want to come over to the van?
I got candy in here too, girls. Holy crap, man. I was like, Karen, you need to get down here right now before I get arrested. This is bad. This does not look, the optics are not good on this right now. But I know one thing about I've never done a homecoming parade. I honestly, God, I never have. We always have people in town, so we're always, you tell them get here before 4 o'clock and do not go anywhere near downtown because you're not going to be able to walk anywhere. or drive or get anywhere to eat. So it's his first parade.
This will be at least his second.
Does he like them?
Second or third.
He
He loves
guy?
parades.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, and I think he remembers. He's at least telling us that he remembers the last time we were up there. We were right along Curtin, and we did have a very good time. It was he was into it and made out like a bandit with the candy. I don't know that we need more candy with Halloween just around the corner here, but it is. It's just fun. It's a good time, and again, I think this is a big opportunity for Penn State to just kind of set the stage here for again that all important 5-game stretch run.
This is going to be that bye week, and then the week against Illinois was lick your wounds, get yourself ready to go for the next 5 or 6 games. But and then we've had this scheduled as being it's that but it's the game you want to play well, you want to be on, you don't want to be screwing around, you don't want to be playing late into the fourth quarter with your starters. Get in, get out, stay healthy. But I got a question for you. I want to talk about what Bielema his like. What he said yesterday or the other day about his team, I could not believe what I was hearing. And he goes, I was left here with nothing. In a nutshell, I was left here with nothing, and that there's not one person on the 2 deep who has done anything right or anything well for this team. And it's like, I don't know. Me as a player, I could say, you know what, dude? Why the hell would one of these guys go out and
what you don't know? I had a similar reaction. What you don't know is whether behind closed doors, Brett's telling these guys, listen, I believe in you. We're going to sell this so that nobody, thinks that we even believe we have a chance. Yeah. I know you guys can beat Penn State. I mean, probably overthinking the possibilities here, but you'd at least hope that that's what he's doing, right? Is behind closed doors. He's telling his team, listen, I'm underselling you to the public, but I know, I mean, and obviously I have no idea.
Yes, you want to change the complexion of your team. Yes, you want the makeup of your team. You want to replace guys who,
I will say,
did not do a good job recruiting there. There's not much there,
which is really surprising. I still think back on that, and I really don't get it. I mean, I don't know if anybody's. I don't follow Illinois close enough to know if they have a pretty good beat on why that didn't work out there. But the I mean the recruiting just never. I mean they got some kids here and there, but man, not. You're talking about an NFL coach that had success, right?
In Chicago,
right? And how he wasn't able to make that translate. And listen, that's one of the things I was reading. I meant to bring it, and I don't know if I'll be able to find it. I'll have to see if I can find it real quick. There was an interesting article, and I'm gonna have to see if I can find it here real quick. Because I don't even remember who wrote it right now, but it was talking about the LSU job, and it was candidates that they should look at and candidates that they should stay away from.
Yep.
And this is from Saturday Down South. The article is by Connor O'Gara. And again, I have no idea. I'm not even sure how I stumbled across this. But the 3 that he says LSU should definitely pursue: Lane Kiffin from Mississippi, Mel Tucker from Michigan State, and Mark Stoops with Kentucky. And he says the 3 that they should avoid: Jimbo Fisher, James Franklin, and Joe Brady with the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
And the Franklin thing, so Lovie Smith's lack of recruiting is the only reason I'm going here is, James Franklin, I don't think there's anybody anywhere who won't concede at this point that anything else about James Franklin you want to say positive or negative, the one thing that we can say with certainty is that the guy knows how to recruit and is at least among the top, 7 in the country at recruiting.
Sure.
Right? I mean, if you're talking just recruiting.
Proof's in the pudding. Yeah, you
definitively top 10, probably top 5
sure.
in terms of a recruiter. And every coach at every level will tell you, listen, I may be great at coming up with schemes, but if we don't have the players to execute, it doesn't matter. And listen, you're seeing it with Bill Belichick, right? I mean, Bill Belichick hasn't forgotten how to coach.
Yeah.
And I think that Patriots team is going to get much better pretty quickly. I mean, I think you're going to see him get that organization back. I don't know if they're going to win Super Bowls again under him, but they're going to be really good again. But listen, they have their work cut out now because of the Bills, because I think that organization is built for long-term success now. And I think the Dolphins are still – I think they're a consistent quarterback away from being a pretty viable contender as well.
There's rumors that Watson's going to be going there.
And listen, the Jets within the next decade or so could possibly start to contend again. Sorry, cheap shot had to be done.
Yeah, you saw an opportunity, you took it.
But so here's the thing in college football, because I've seen that there are, and I think it's a small minority of fans, I hope Franklin does go to USC. I'm tired of these game day decisions and this and that. Yep. We'll get somebody in here that beats Ohio State. Will you? Because, again, look at Nebraska, look at Texas, look at USC, look at all these programs who know, and these are big-time programs, more money available than even Penn State. And by God, they were going to get the coach in to do it. And how's that working out? It is really hard to find coaches who win consistently. It is really hard. And that's why, whether James Franklin is using this as leverage or whatever, and it's not that I think Penn State is finished if Franklin leaves and does take the USC or LSU or some other job, but I'm telling you, it is far from a certainty that they'll be able to sustain anywhere near the success that they are sustaining right now. Now, they could, you could bring in a guy, obviously, it has happened where you have a program that's really good and then new coach comes in and gets them over the top. But I'm telling you, you have a pretty sure thing here going right now with James Franklin. And if you're Penn State, within reason, I think you do just about everything you can to keep this thing humming along right now, because again, it is really difficult to look at Alabama before Saban was there. I mean, everybody's like, Alabama's always, but no, Alabama was, but from Bear Bryant to Nick Saban, they had some good coaches and some good seasons, but not what we are seeing now or anything anywhere close to it. And so when it comes to recruiting, again, James Franklin, nobody that's going to argue that this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Here's why they're saying that LSU, and I just find it interesting. I don't even necessarily agree or disagree. But from this article, when I close my eyes and think about Franklin explaining some horrendous late-game decision in a post-game press conference, I picture his support fading in a hurry. Franklin is many things. He's charismatic, passionate, and detail-oriented. He's also a bit on the sensitive side. See his reaction to being accused of faking injuries and his long-winded statement in which he outlined that he's trying to save college football, which seems like a bad fit for someone coming in as a perceived outsider. Again, talking about him being a candidate at LSU.
Yeah.
There was the time when Franklin was so bothered that a media member criticized his decision-making on a 2-point conversion call that he needed to rant about it days later. He's the same guy who famously accused other divisional programs of negatively recruiting against Penn State, only to be later called out for negative recruiting himself. Something tells me the tolerance level for some of that stuff at LSU would be different here than it is at Penn State. Franklin is making $6.5 million a year at Penn State. One would assume he's not leaving that program without some significant financial incentive to do so. Is he worth it? Like with Jimbo Fisher, I don't think Franklin is good enough as a coach to suddenly be paid as much as or even more than someone like Saban.
Wow.
And again, just interesting, different perspectives.
Yeah.
And listen, I some of that stuff, I'm in agreement with it. That I don't like that Franklin spends as much time going over some of that stuff as he does. At the same time, for example, the stuff with the players, I think my take on that is he was defending his players, and I think he genuinely believes, saving college football might be going a little far. I'm with you. I can see how it comes across as sanctimonious, but I do think he genuinely believes that having players injured, getting booed, home or away, is making it less likely that parents watching at home with youngsters coming up. Yeah, dude. No, first of all, it's a dangerous sport. I'm seeing a lot of guys get injured. That alone is, as a parent, right? You're thinking, I don't know if I want Junior doing that. And then you're seeing them booed. Yeah, I don't want that. Yep. I don't want to sit there in the stands and have to listen to that. So I think Franklin, when he sees something that he wants to explain, he does so. And I don't think it all comes down to winning, right? So it's no big deal here because he's winning 10 games a year consistently. And it wouldn't be a big deal at LSU. I'm sorry. The LSU fans are not that much different than the Penn State fans, that if they're winning 10 games a year. Now, his point is, listen, if they lose a couple more in those first couple of years, then yes, this stuff wears thin pretty quickly. And I think that's probably true, but I think it's true more so because of the couple of losses that you're not expecting when you hire a guy like that than any of this other stuff that's going on off the field. And again, I'm just telling you, whether you're LSU, Texas A&M, USC, Penn State, recruiting is far and away the number one priority, and
always is.
And it's what a coach has to do and establish. And again, you're not going to find many, if any, better than James Franklin in that element of the game, and it's why I do think USC and LSU are going to have interest in him.
Yeah, he needs to take that next step with his recruits that he has right now, and that is within the next 5 weeks we will have a better understanding of what type of long-term future Franklin's going to have at Penn State. That's how I feel.
Yeah,
I mean, if he doesn't get over Ohio State and Michigan humps, I don't think USC and LSU are going to be there. I really don't.
Yeah.
But if he does run the table, well, I mean, be ready to open that checkbook up, Penn State. I mean, it's going to be insane. It's again, I talked about it Tuesday, and this is the way college football has been for 50 years. We've just been shielded from it. We've never had to deal with this. So, people complain about Bill O'Brien. Oh, well, he took this offer and took that offer. I mean, he's a coach. He's always looking to improve him. You know what I mean? It's just. Are you not going to go if you have a job offer to at your position to go work for another company that pays you more and it's a higher prestige job? Yeah, no one's going to give you crap. He's a professional football coach, in college, and James is no different than anybody else. I think it's awesome that we have our coach that is being named and courted for all these schools. I mean, it's a hell of a thing. But you said it for 5 years. For the people who are angling for him to leave, you give me a replacement. You tell me who is going to come in here and do a better job.
Yeah, and again, there may be coaches that could do a better job, but I'm telling you that they would be few and far between. And my driving point is there is not anybody out there that I see that I would say, absolutely definitively, no question, you bring him in and by God, Penn State's going to start winning national titles, right? If play out the crazy hypothetical. I mean, if Nick Saban comes in here, I don't think there's a guarantee that Nick Saban at Penn State wins national titles, right? I truly don't think at Penn State there's anybody out there where it's like, and if it's not winning national titles, again, the next best thing is what we've seen here over the last 5 years. There are not many programs winning at a clip. In fact, there's about 4 or 5 winning at a clip that Penn State is. And again, outside of Alabama and Clemson, there's Georgia and Oklahoma, Ohio State, obviously next in line, and then Penn State's right there. And I'm just telling you, coming off of where Penn State was to be there, again, absolutely a clear-cut, consistent top 10 program, and one of the top 6 or 7 here over the last 5-6 years. That's you don't want to be taking that for granted. Again, there are a lot of places that haven't been satisfied with 9-win seasons, and they're struggling to find anything close to that. It is not the worst thing in the world to be winning 10 games a year and being very, very competitive, point or two away against Ohio State and, arguably the third best program in the country here over the last 5 or 6 years. That's
I agree
pretty impressive stuff at the end of the day. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Not knowing for sure how the quarterback thing is going to play out is a bit of concern. I think this defense is going to play lights out.
They have to.
Football. And I think it will. Again, not knowing the quarterback situation, I'm going to go a little conservative. I think Penn State could put up big points, but I'll go 34-10 Penn State. I do think Penn State wins this thing pretty comfortably, regardless of who plays at quarterback. Yeah.
I have been looking at the line. The line has gone from 23 to 23.5, has not moved.
Yeah.
So nothing's really changed in Vegas, but I think that our defense is going to step up. I don't think Illinois is going to do much on offense, if anything at all.
Yeah.
I got us big 45-10.
I like it. We'll talk about it on Monday. Real quick on your Eagles. Steelers have a bye week. We'll talk Steelers next week.
Eagles, Raiders. How about those undefeated Philadelphia Flyers, though, for Ironhead? I've already it's already hot.
I hear you. I've been watching a good bit, obviously the Penguins, but the other stuff too. I will say I like a couple overtime losses here, the shootout the other night, but I really do like the way the Penguins are playing here early in the season, and I love what Jari's giving them in goal right now. Now we'll see, again, is it going to be there all season long? But my God, he truly was standing on his head in the third period there on whatever that was, Tuesday night. And it's been fun watching these guys. And listen, you're still waiting for Crosby and Malkin to get in the lineup here. So I think some very good things in the hopper here for the Penguins moving forward. And I'm excited about the Steelers. I really am. We'll see what happens here with Case Keenum and the Browns this weekend.
By the way,
what's that?
They lose that game last week. This season.
Yeah, it's definitely a whole different mindset, I think, right now. And again, not taking anything for granted, but there is an opportunity here for the Steelers to really get on a roll. If you win that game with Cleveland, a big if, and again, nothing for granted, but they'll be favored in the next 3 games. That's a chance to get to 7-3. And if you do that, again, you put yourself right in the mix here for the playoff run. And then, you see how everything comes together and what the health is and all of that. But I think the Steelers are positioned right now to again, at least be in the thick of the playoff race here for the stretch run. And that's what you want if you're a fan, which I am.
Yes,
we'll take a long break here. We'll be back Tuesday afternoon, right around 3 o'clock. We'll break down the Penn State-Illinois game and get you set for the showdown in Columbus. Until then, be good and be safe.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube, but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
Hi, Johnny Broom here. If you're in the market for a new Hyundai or a pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, nobody beats a Blaze Alexander deal. But don't take my word for it.
Hey, Goon says tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, tell him Johnny sent ya.
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Wait. Tell him Juan or tell him Johnny sent you?
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Here at Bill Pickle's Tap Room, we say,
Tell him Johnny sent you.
and remember,